Welcome to English Voice Room.
It's great to be back.
You know, when we prepare for these conversations, I usually have a certain expectation. I'm thinking we're going to be, wading through grammar tables.
Right. The nuts and bolts.
Exactly, the nuts and bolts. We'll be talking about, I don't know, the subjunctive mood or the most efficient way to memorize the top 1,000 words, the mechanic.
The how-tos of the language itself, yeah.
For sure. But today's topic is different. It feels, honestly, it feels a little uncomfortably familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I have this feeling that what we're about to talk about is going to hit home maybe in a slightly painful way for pretty much every single person listening.
I think you're right.
Because we aren't talking about vocabulary today. We aren't talking about syntax. We are talking about the invisible wall.
The invisible wall. That's a really good way to put it.
It's the only way I can describe it. It's that thing that stops you. It stops you from learning long before you ever get to a difficult grammar rule.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
We have this huge misconception that the real barrier to learning something new, a language specifically, but really anything hard, is the thing itself, the complexity of it.
Right. We tell ourselves, I can't learn this because the grammar is just too chaotic
Or the pronunciation is impossible for me. But the research we've been looking at for this, it suggests something else entirely.
Yeah.
It argues the real barrier isn't out there.
It's in here.
It's internal. It is. And you can almost call it the art of self-sabotage.
The art of self-sabotage. I like that phrase, even though I really don't like that I'm apparently a master artist in this particular field.
I think we all are.
I should have a gallery opening for my collection of self-sabotage masterpieces.
We all should. It's kind of hardwired into us. It's the psychology of the excuse. And it is so important to understand, and this is a really key theme, that this isn't just about being lazy.
No.
We beat ourselves up. We say, oh, I'm just lazy. But it is so much more complex. It's a protective mechanism.
Right. And that's where what we're calling the but syndrome comes in. You know the formula. I know I use it constantly. I really want to learn English, but...
And whatever comes after that, but...
Yeah.
That's the story.
It's a story we tell ourselves.
It is. It's a narrative. And here's the really tricky part, the thing that makes it so powerful. It's not usually a lie.
That's a great point.
It's a crucial distinction. If you say, I want to learn, but I'm just so tired, you probably are tired. It's not a falsehood, but it is a carefully selected truth, a fiction you build to keep yourself comfortable, to keep you safe.
And there's that perfect analogy that really nails this down.
Oh, the gym scenario.
The gym scenario. Yes, let's unpack that because I have lived this. I feel like I live this every other day.
I think we all do.
So the setup is you've made the plan, you're going to the gym after work, your bag is packed, it's sitting by the door, you've even got your running shoes on, you are ready to go.
You're committed, in theory.
In theory, yes. But then you glance out the window and you see a cloud. Just one. It's a little gray, maybe a bit dark on the edges. And your brain, instantly, it's like a reflex. It just goes, looks like it might rain, better not walk to the gym. Don't want to get my hair wet. I'll go tomorrow.
And here is the question that just exposes the whole mechanism. The question that unravels the story. Was it actually raining?
No, not even close. It was a perfectly nice evening. But in my head, the rain was real. It became the whole narrative. It was never about the weather. It was about the fact that my couch is really comfortable, the treadmill is really not, and my brain was it was searching desperately for any excuse, any way out.
That's it. The excuse creates what we call a safe zone. If you convince yourself it's probably going to rain, you are absolved of the guilt.
Right.
You didn't quit because you lacked willpower. You were prudent. You were being sensible. And that is exactly what we do with language learning. We don't say, I'm lazy. We say, I'm too busy. I'm too old. It's too hard. These are the clouds in our sky.
It's all about protecting the ego, isn't it?
It is. 100% ego preservation. If I try and I fail, my ego takes a hit. But if I don't even try because of this external thing, it might rain, well, my ego stays perfectly intact.
And so today our mission is to dismantle those clouds. We've identified 5 big ones that came up again and again: time, difficulty, fear, age, and money. And we are going to break them down one by one.
We're going to look at the psychology and the science behind why we build these walls.
The goal here is to get you from that place of I want to, but to a place of I am starting today. But before we tackle that first big barrier,
Yes.
I just have to say, if you are enjoying our podcast, please subscribe to get all of our new ones. It really does help us keep these conversations going and, dig even deeper into these kinds of topics for you.
It absolutely does. We appreciate every single one of you. So shall we? Shall we go after the first and I think probably the biggest, most common giant we all have to face?
Let's do it. The giant called I have no time.
The busy trap.
Okay, so I have to play devil's advocate here for just a second. I'm looking at our notes, but I'm also thinking about my own week. We have to acknowledge the reality of modern life, right? We're not saying people are just imagining their schedules are packed.
Well, not at all. It's real.
I mean, you've got work reports, endless meetings, family stuff, chores, the commute. Life is genuinely, properly chaotic.
It is.
Yeah.
And it feels completely valid, totally reasonable to say, I have zero free time.
Yeah.
You look at your calendar and it's just a solid block of color from, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then you still got to make dinner, maybe help with homework.
Right.
The idea of trying to squeeze in language study feels laughable. It almost feels like an insult to how exhausted you are.
Exactly. It's like someone telling you to learn how to juggle while you're already carrying a sofa up a flight of stairs.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And this is the core of it.
Yeah.
The research shows that this feeling of no time, while emotionally very, very real, is actually based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how learning actually works. We call it the 3-hour fallacy.
The 3-hour fallacy. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that?
It's basically the all or nothing mindset, but applied to your schedule. We have this romanticized, almost Victorian image in our heads of what studying is supposed to look like.
I know exactly what you mean. You picture a big mahogany desk, total silence.
A stack of leather-bound books, a freshly sharpened pencil.
And a solid 3-hour block of completely uninterrupted, deep focus.
Yes, like you're a monk in a monastery or some scholar in a movie. And because we can't find that perfect 3-hour block in our modern, messy, notification-filled lives,
We do nothing.
we do nothing. We think, well, if I can't do it the proper way, I'm just not going to do it at all.
And that's the trap.
That is the entire trap. The analysis here shows that you don't need a dedicated desk. You don't need a huge block of time. In fact, from a cognitive science perspective, waiting for that perfect time is the single best way to make sure you never, ever learn.
So it's not just impractical, it's actually worse for learning.
It's actively counterproductive. There's a ton of research on what's called massed practice versus distributed practice.
Distributed practice. That sounds like a term from logistics or something. Is that like spaced repetition?
It's a very similar principle, but it's about the timing of the learning sessions themselves. Massed practice is the cramming method. It's doing 3 straight hours on Sunday night.
The classic college student move.
Exactly. Distributed practice is doing, say, 20 minutes every day. And the research is not even ambiguous on this. It overwhelmingly shows that distributed practice leads to significantly better long-term memory and retention.
Why is that?
Because your brain needs the downtime. It needs the sleep intervals to consolidate memory, to move information from short-term to long-term storage. It needs those breaks to process the data. So that 3-hour block isn't just a scheduling nightmare, it's actually less effective for your brain.
That is such a relief to hear. Actually, it takes all the pressure off.
It should.
So if we're not looking for this mythical 3-hour block, what's the alternative? The material talks about micro habits.
Yes. It's all about using the dead time, the in-between moments. I like to call them the liminal spaces in your day, the time when you're just transitioning from one main activity to another.
I love that concept. It reframes the whole day. It's not about finding time, it's about finding the cracks. It's like turning your day into a scavenger hunt for minutes.
That's a great way to think about it.
And the examples given are so concrete, like listening to an audio lesson while you're making coffee.
Okay, think about that process. How long does it actually take to make a pot of coffee or an espresso?
Okay.
3 minutes, 5.
Yeah, probably 5 minutes. If you grind the beans yourself, maybe 7.
And in those 5 or 7 minutes, what is your brain typically doing?
Honestly, nothing productive. I'm usually just staring at the machine, trying to will it to go faster. Or, more likely, I'm doom scrolling on my phone.
Precisely. Your brain is either idling in what we call the default mode network, or worse, you're scrolling through social media looking at nothing of substance, which actually fatigues your brain before the day is even properly started.
That's so true.
So if you just replace that empty activity with a podcast in your target language or a quick vocabulary lesson, you haven't spent any extra time. You've just repurposed time that was otherwise just evaporating.
Another one mentioned was learning 3 vocabulary words while you're waiting for the bus.
And that sounds so insignificant, doesn't it? 3 little words.
Yeah, you think, what's the point? That's not going to make me fluent.
But this is where the math becomes really surprising. Let's do the math on that.
Okay, lay it on us.
If you learn just 3 new words a day while waiting for the bus, That's 21 words a week. It's nearly 100 words a month. Over a year, that's almost 1,200 words.
Wow.
Now, most linguists will tell you that with a core vocabulary of somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 words, you can understand and handle about 80% of everyday normal conversation.
So you're saying you can build a functional conversational vocabulary without ever scheduling a study session, just by standing at a bus stop.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the cumulative power of tiny habits.
That is wild when you break it down like that. It just completely deflates the "I have no time" excuse. But there was one specific technique in the material that I actually laughed out loud at when I first read it, just because it's so brilliant and so simple. The dishwashing technique.
Ah, yes. Narrating the mundane. This is a huge favorite among successful polyglots, people who learn multiple languages.
So walk us through it. Let's say you're standing at the sink, you're scrubbing a plate. What are you doing?
Right. So normally when you wash dishes, your mind is just wandering everywhere, right? You're replaying a stressful meeting from work, or you're rehearsing an argument you had 3 years ago.
Or I'm planning what I'm going to eat for my next meal.
Of course. But with this technique, you actively narrate what you're doing out loud in your target language. You say, I am washing the plate is white, the water is warm, now I am drying the spoon.
It sounds so simple, but why is this so effective? Is it just about using that dead time, or is there something deeper going on here?
Oh, it's much deeper than just time management. It ties into a powerful psychological principle called context-dependent memory.
Okay.
When you learn from a textbook or an app, you're learning language in a vacuum. You learn the word for spoon by looking at a picture of a spoon on a screen. It's abstract.
Right, it's just data.
But when you use the dishwashing technique, you are holding the actual spoon. You are feeling the warm water. You are physically interacting with the object. You are forging a neural pathway that connects the word spoon directly to the physical sensation and the reality of the object itself.
It grounds the word in reality. It makes it three-dimensional instead of two-dimensional.
Exactly. It removes the layer of abstraction. And maybe just as importantly, psychologically, it lowers the barrier to entry to almost zero.
How so?
Well, if I tell you, go to your desk and study for an hour, your brain puts up resistance. It sees this huge mountain of effort. It's a heavy cognitive lift.
Yeah, I'm already tired just thinking about it.
But if I tell you, hey, the next time you wash a cup, just try to say cup in Spanish, there's almost no resistance to that.
It's too small an ask to say no to.
Correct. And because it's so easy, you do it. And that builds consistency. And in language learning, consistency is king. It is so much more valuable than intensity. 5 minutes every single day is infinitely more powerful than 3 hours once a month.
So that's the big takeaway for the time excuse. It's a phantom. It's not about finding time. It's about recognizing it. Any time is the perfect time.
You don't need to clear your schedule. You just need to fill the cracks that are already there.
And that leads us, I think, directly into the second big barrier. Because, okay, let's say people accept this. They find the time. They start narrating their dishwashing.
They often hit another wall. A wall that's about their own self-perception.
The too difficult mindset.
Or, as you called it, the identity crisis.
Exactly.
Oh, this one runs deep. This is where you hear people say things like, oh, I'm just not a language person, or I'm a math person, I'm not a word person. I have heard this so many times. I've definitely said it myself.
I hear it constantly. It's a classic example of what the psychologist Carol Dweck identified as a fixed mindset. It's the belief that language aptitude is some kind of innate genetic talent, like having blue eyes or being 6 feet tall. You either have the language gene or you don't.
And I've definitely felt that. You see someone who speaks like 4 languages fluently and effortlessly, and your first thought is, well, their brain is just wired differently. My brain is a potato. I just can't do what they do.
Your brain is not a potato,
Yeah.
I promise. The analysis we're looking at really emphasizes that this talent myth is just another version of the cloud in the sky. It's another sophisticated excuse. The problem is never the brain's capability. The problem is our perspective on the task itself. And they use such a great metaphor to explain that shift in perspective, the mountain versus the footsteps.
This is such a crucial visualization. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So imagine you're standing at the base of a truly massive mountain, an enormous peak. And that mountain represents fluency.
Okay.
It represents speaking perfectly, understanding every movie without subtitles, reading dense novels,
Yeah.
debating politics, everything. When you stand at the bottom and you look all the way up at that summit, what happens to you psychologically?
You're paralyzed. You freeze up. It just looks impossible. The distance is too vast. Your brain does a quick subconscious calculation of the energy required to get to the top, the years of work, and it just decides, nope, not worth the effort. It shuts down the whole project.
You feel tiny and insignificant. You think, I can never, ever climb that. So you don't even bother packing your bag. You don't take the first step.
But the shift, and this is so critical for breaking out of that too difficult mindset, is to consciously stop looking at the summit. Stop obsessing over fluency. Instead, look down at your feet.
And just take one step.
Just one single step. The goal isn't to learn English or Japanese. That's too big, it's too abstract. The goal is to learn one thing.
The material really hammers this idea of small victories. It connects right back to the dishwashing thing. Don't try to write a perfect essay. Just learn to say your favorite food. I like pizza.
Or learn how to describe the weather. It is sunny today.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here, just for the sake of argument. Why are these tiny wins so critical? I mean, let's be honest. Being able to say I like pizza doesn't make you fluent. It feels like a drop in the ocean.
It is a drop in the ocean.
If my ultimate goal is to conduct a business meeting in English, knowing how to say I like pizza feels almost irrelevant.
It's a drop in the ocean in terms of the total volume of the language. You're absolutely right. But it's a tidal wave in terms of the chemical environment of your brain. And to understand that, we have to talk about dopamine.
Okay, let's get into the science. Why does knowing the word for pizza matter so much to my brain chemistry?
When you set a huge, distant goal like fluency, and you fail to reach it day after day, which you will because it takes years, your brain registers that as constant failure. It releases stress hormones like cortisol. It's telling you, we are working hard and we're getting nowhere.
It's a negative feedback loop.
The hugely negative one. But when you set a tiny goal like learn to say, I like pizza,
Yeah.
and you achieve it, your brain registers a win, a success, and it releases a little bit of dopamine.
And dopamine is the reward chemical, right? It feels good.
It does feel good, but it's more than that. It's also the learning chemical. Dopamine reinforces the neural pathway that led to the success. It's your brain's way of saying, that was good, we survived that, we succeeded, pay attention and do that again. It creates a positive feedback loop.
So success literally breeds motivation.
Success breeds motivation, which leads to more effort, which leads to more success. It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
As opposed to the anxiety you get from staring at the mountain, which just breeds cortisol and paralysis.
Exactly. Think of it this way. If your goal is fluency, you are guaranteed to feel like a failure for years until you finally reach it. But if your goal is learn 3 new words today, you can feel like a winner every single evening before you go to bed.
You're hacking your own brain's reward system.
You're training yourself to become addicted to the feeling of progress.
And that's what makes the whole process sustainable. And speaking of sustainability, there's another piece to this puzzle of overcoming difficulty. The fun factor.
Or what the tech world likes to call gamification.
Yes, shifting the focus away from study and towards interest.
This is so huge. If you absolutely hate doing grammar drills from a textbook, then for goodness sake, don't do them.
Right. If you love music, just use song lyrics. If you're passionate about cooking, find a simple recipe in the language you're trying to learn.
This ties into a really important concept from the linguist Stephen Krashen. He calls it the affective filter.
The affective filter. That sounds like a part in a car engine. Yeah, I need an oil change and a new affective filter, please.
It does sound a bit mechanical, but you can think of it like an invisible shield or a gatekeeper in your brain. A bouncer at the nightclub of your memory.
Okay.
When you are stressed or bored or anxious or you feel like you're being judged, that filter goes up. The shield is raised. The bouncer closes the velvet rope, and information just bounces right off. You can stare at a textbook page for an hour, but if you're bored out of your mind, almost nothing is actually going in.
But when you're relaxed and enjoying yourself.
When you are genuinely engaged in the content for its own sake, because you really want to know how to cook that pasta dish,
Yeah.
or you're dying to understand what your favorite singer is actually singing about, the affective filter comes down, the shield is lowered, the gate opens, and you learn without even realizing you're learning.
That's the difference between learning and acquisition, right?
That's the core of it. If you're struggling to understand a recipe for pasta in Italian, you're not consciously studying Italian. You're just trying to make dinner.
And because you want the dinner, you're motivated to figure out the words.
Your motivation is intrinsic. It's about the activity, not about the language. The language just becomes the tool you need to get the thing you actually want.
So Difficulty isn't an inherent property of the language itself. It's a product of us making the goal way too big and the process way too boring.
That's a perfect summary. Make the steps tiny and make the journey fun.
Okay. So, we've found the time in the cracks of our day. We've broken the giant mountain down into tiny, enjoyable footsteps, but now we come to it. The scariest monster of them all. This is the one that honestly, it keeps me up at night sometimes.
The fear of making mistakes.
The perfection trap. This is the one that paralyzes people who have actually studied for years. They know the grammar, they have the vocabulary in their heads, but they still can't bring themselves to speak because they're just terrified.
It's a phenomenon called the spotlight effect.
Right. You open your mouth to say something in a foreign language and you feel like this giant hot spotlight has just slammed down on you. And the only thought in your head is, if I say this wrong, everyone is going to laugh at me. I'm going to look like an idiot.
It's such a primal fear, isn't it? The fear of social rejection. In our deep evolutionary past, being rejected by the tribe, being cast out, literally meant death. So our brains are wired with this powerful instinct to avoid looking foolish at all costs.
But the material offers such a beautiful, gentle analogy to help reframe this, the baby walking analogy.
I love this one. It's so wholesome, but is so deeply accurate.
So just picture a little toddler who's learning to walk. What do? They pull themselves up, they wobble, they take a step, and they fall down on their butt. Hard.
And they do this hundreds, maybe thousands of times. They look, objectively speaking, ridiculous. They're clumsy, they're uncoordinated.
And what does the parent do? Do they point and laugh and say, "Ha! Look at that idiot baby, can't even walk. Terrible balance, what a failure."
Of course not. That would be monstrous. We get excited, we clap, and we say, "Good job, you're getting so strong. Try again." We celebrate the wobble.
We celebrate the attempt. We instinctively understand that the falling is how they learn. You cannot learn to balance without losing your balance over and over again. And yet, as soon as we become adults, we deny ourselves that same grace. We treat a single grammar mistake with the same shame as a moral failure. We think, I should be perfect immediately. We hold ourselves to this impossible standard that we would never, ever apply to a child or even a friend who is learning.
We have to learn to treat ourselves like that baby. The falling, the making of mistakes, it isn't a sign that you're failing. It is the mechanism of learning. It's the only way forward.
If you aren't making any mistakes, it means you're staying in your safe zone. And as one of the experts in the source material notes, nothing ever grows in the safe zone. To rise, you have to risk looking a little foolish.
But it's so hard to let go of that need to be perfect. Even when I understand the logic, the emotional reaction in the moment is still shame. I can feel my face getting hot when I mess up a word. It's a tough habit to break. But it helps if we consciously redefine the goal of what we're doing. We often confuse perfection with communication, and those are two vastly different things.
Okay, break that distinction down for me. What's the real difference?
The fundamental goal of language is simply to transfer an idea from my brain into your brain. That's it. It's a form of telepathy that uses sound waves. If I point my stomach and say, "Me hungry, want food," and you understand and give me a sandwich, the communication was 100% successful.
Even though the grammar was atrocious, I sounded like a caveman.
The grammar was a mess, yes.
Yeah.
But the interaction worked. The mission was accomplished. You got the sandwich. Your need was met. Too many learners will stay completely silent because they can't form the perfect grammatically correct sentence. And so they say nothing at all. And then they get no sandwich.
And no practice.
And zero practice. You cannot steer a parked car. You have to get the car moving, even if you're swerving all over the road at first.
There's a little hack mentioned for this too, a way to kind of mitigate that fear of looking foolish. It's called the best grammar hack, but it has absolutely nothing to do with grammar.
Smiling.
It sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? Just smile, like it's a quote on a motivational poster, but there's actual science to back this up.
There really is. A smile acts as a powerful social signal. It leverages what are called mirror neurons in the other person's brain. When you smile at someone, it triggers an almost automatic subconscious response in them.
What's the message it sends?
It says, "I am friendly, I am trying my best, please be patient with me." And almost universally, what happens is the other person smiles back. Their posture softens. They become an ally instead of a judge.
And the reality is, most people are kind. They want to help you. If you smile while you struggle through a sentence, people don't mock you. They lean in. They try to guess the word you're looking for. They want to help you succeed.
We constantly project our own harsh inner critic onto other
Yeah.
people. We're convinced they are judging us as harshly as we judge ourselves, but usually they're just impressed that we're even making the effort to learn their language. They're not thinking, look at all those mistakes. They're thinking, wow, this person is trying to connect with me in my own language. That's cool.
So the lesson is embrace the stumble, be the
Right.
baby, smile through the awkwardness.
Yes. The mantra is communication, not perfection.
Okay. We are making our way through these barriers. We've dealt with time, difficulty, and fear. Now we get to a couple that feel a bit more, I don't know, rigid. The ones that people believe are objective, unchangeable facts, not just psychological blocks.
Age and money. The biological and the financial excuses.
Let's start with age. This is the absolute classic. I'm too old. My brain just doesn't work like that anymore. I'm 40, I'm 60, I'm 80. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
This is one of the most persistent myths out there, and frankly, it's one of the most damaging because it so often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can't learn, you won't even try, which then proves you were right.
The source material calls for a serious fact check on this one. What does the science actually say? Because we've all heard about the critical period hypothesis, this idea that little kids learn languages best, and after puberty, it's basically game over for your brain.
That hypothesis has been, well, it's been largely refined and in many important ways debunked. The modern scientific consensus on neuroplasticity, which is the brain's incredible ability to rewire itself, to form new neural connections, and to change its own structure, is that this ability exists throughout our entire lifespan.
So it doesn't just stop at age 20.
It doesn't stop at 20. It doesn't stop at 50. It doesn't even stop at 80. Your brain is constantly changing and adapting based on the stimuli you give it.
So that whole idea that your brain hardens like concrete is just false.
Completely false. Now, does a child's brain learn differently from an adult's brain? Yes, absolutely. Children are like sponges. They absorb language passively from their environment. Adults generally have to be more conscious, active learners, but adults also have huge advantages that children don't.
Like what?
We have metacognition.
Really?
We know how to learn. We can see patterns. We can use logic to understand grammar rules. We have discipline and longer attention spans. A child doesn't have any of that.
And the research actually frames language learning not as something that requires a young brain, but as one of the best activities to keep the brain young.
The brain gym concept. This is so vital.
Exactly. If you stop exercising your body, your muscles atrophy and weaken. It's the exact same principle with your brain. If you don't challenge it, your cognitive abilities will decline. Learning a new language is like a full body workout for your brain. It's heavy lifting for your neurons.
It's one of the best ways to build what neuroscientists call cognitive reserve. That's like the brain's resilience, its ability to withstand age-related decline.
So saying I'm too old to learn is the logical equivalent of saying I'm too out of shape to go to the gym.
Correct. It's the exact inversion of the truth. The very fact that you might feel your memory slipping a bit or your mental agility isn't what it used to be is precisely why you should be learning a language. It is the prescription, not the prohibition.
Wow.
There are major studies that show that being bilingual or multilingual can delay the onset of diseases like dementia by an average of 4 to 5 years.
That's incredible. It just flips the entire script. It's not, I can't because I'm old. It's, I must because I want to stay sharp as I get older.
And really, when you peel it back, when people say I'm too old, what they often mean is I'm too tired or I'm too afraid of looking foolish, which just loops right back to the other excuses we've already taken apart.
Yeah.
Age is just a number. Desire and consistency are the only metrics that truly matter.
Okay, so if age is a myth, what about the other big hard fact excuse? Money. I can't afford an expensive tutor. I can't afford those software programs or the big textbook sets. And let's be fair, some of those courses are hundreds of dollars.
They are. And this might have been a semi-valid excuse back in, say, 1990. If you wanted to learn Japanese in 1990 and you lived in a small town in the middle of nowhere, your options were to buy a very expensive set of cassette tapes or hope you could find a rare, expensive tutor. The barriers were access and cost. But today, in the internet age, that excuse holds absolutely no water.
The resource revolution.
We are living in the absolute golden age of free information. It has never in human history been cheaper or easier to learn a new skill. The financial barrier to entry is, for all intents and purposes, zero.
The sources list the obvious ones, right? Podcasts like this one are free. YouTube has thousands upon thousands of channels with incredible teachers giving away high-quality lessons for free.
And we forget about the good old public library. Libraries have huge digital subscription services now. You don't even have to physically go to the building. You can check out language ebooks and audio courses from your couch for zero cost.
And what about just song lyrics? Looking up the lyrics to your favorite foreign songs, reading online news articles, finding a language exchange partner online. There are dozens of free websites for this, where you teach them your language for half an hour, and they teach you theirs for half an hour. That costs literally nothing but your time.
The problem is no longer a scarcity of resources. The problem today is the overwhelming abundance of resources. We are practically drowning in free, high-quality material.
So if the cost isn't money, what is the real cost? Because there's always a cost to doing something.
The real cost today is attention. We live in an attention economy. It's about budgeting your focus and your effort. The excuse, "I don't have enough money," is very often a convenient mask for the more uncomfortable truth, which is, "I don't want to prioritize this enough to put in the effort."
It's just easier to blame your bank account than to blame your own lack of focus or initiative.
Precisely. Because once you fully accept that the resources are free and available, you have to face the fact that the only missing ingredient is you. And that can be a much harder pill to swallow.
Which brings us to the final boss, the ultimate enemy of all progress, the one that ties all of these other excuses together into a neat little package of perpetual delay.
Monday.
The procrastination loop. I'll start on Monday, or I'll start on the first of the month, or my New Year's resolution is to start.
Why is it always Monday? What is so magical about Monday?
Well, it feels like a clean slate, doesn't it? Psychologists call them temporal landmarks. It feels neat and organized. I'm too busy and messy right now, but on Monday I will be a new person. Monday me is disciplined. Monday me is energetic. Monday me loves grammar drills.
But it's a total trap, because Monday me is the exact same person as Sunday me. So when Monday actually arrives, what happens?
Life happens. You wake up late, you spill coffee on your shirt, your inbox is overflowing with urgent emails, and suddenly it's Monday afternoon, you're exhausted, you haven't started, and you say, well, this week is already a write-off, I'll get a fresh start next Monday.
And you're caught in a circle of excuses, a perpetual loop of deferral. By waiting for the perfect day to start, you effectively ensure that you never start at all. You're constantly negotiating with your future self, and you're letting future you take all the blame.
So how do we break the loop? How do we finally kill Monday?
The power of now.
That sounds very philosophical and zen.
It is, but it's also intensely practical. Do not wait for the top of the hour. Do not wait for tomorrow morning. Do not even wait for this podcast to end.
Start immediately.
The material suggests something that is radical in its simplicity. Take one tiny action right now. Even if it's just saying the word hello in your target language to the mirror. Even if it is just picking up your phone right now and looking up one word, do it now.
Taking that one tiny action now is what breaks the paralysis. It proves to your brain that this is real, that you're serious.
Action is the only known antidote to anxiety. As long as you are just planning to start, you're anxious about it. You're building it up in your head into this big, scary thing. But the moment you take that first tiny step, the anxiety begins to transform into focus. You've crossed the threshold from thinking to doing.
It's about shifting your mindset from one day to day one.
That is perfectly put. One day is a fantasy. Day one is a reality.
So let's just take a quick look back at the ground we've covered today. We've really stripped away the camouflage from these excuses. We've started to dismantle that invisible wall.
We have. We've seen that time isn't something you find in big blocks. It's found in the minutes, in the cracks. The dishwashing technique shows us we can integrate learning into our busiest days.
We've learned that difficulty is just a matter of perspective. Don't stare at the mountain, just look down at your feet. Take those tiny steps to get that dopamine loop started.
We saw that fear is conquered by giving ourselves permission to be imperfect. Be the baby. Fall down. Small to make an ally of the person you're talking to, and then get right back up.
We've busted the myths that age and money are real barriers. Your brain is ready and waiting for a workout, and the internet has made the resources free and abundant. Attention is the only currency that matters.
And finally, we know that Monday is the biggest lie of all. Today is the only day you can ever start.
It's actually really empowering when you realize that all these barriers that feel so external and so solid are actually internal. It means that you have the power to remove them. Nobody is stopping you but you.
And here's where it gets really, really interesting. This is the final thought from our analysis, and I think it's the most profound one. When you finally break one of these excuses, when you actually learn that first phrase while waiting for the bus, or you speak to a stranger and you make a mistake but you survive, You feel something.
You feel a sense of pride.
You feel pride. And that pride is not just a pleasant feeling. It's fuel. It becomes a self-sustaining engine. The energy you get from overcoming the excuse is the exact energy you need to take the next step. You don't need to go out and find motivation somewhere. The action itself creates the motivation for more action.
So you don't wait until you feel like doing it. You do it in order to feel like doing it.
That's it. Action always precedes motivation, not the other way around.
So I have a question then for everyone listening. For you, with the headphones on right now,
That is it.
what was your excuse 5 minutes ago before you started listening to this? Was it, I'm too tired? Was it, I'm too old? Was it, I'll do it later?
And the more important follow-up question, what is the one small word or phrase you are going to learn right now to break that excuse forever?
Don't turn this off and plan to do it later. Do it while the outro music is playing. Say hello out loud in the language you want to learn. Look up the word for coffee on your phone. Just do one tiny thing.
Break the seal. Rise above the excuse.
We believe you can do it. The clouds are just clouds. You can walk to the gym. And you can learn the language.
You are ready to rise.
Thank you so much for joining us in the English Voice Room today. This has been a really inspiring look at the things that hold us all back.
It really has. Let's all make today the day we stop telling ourselves stories and we just start the work.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.